Hello, my name is Mark and welcome to the lab. Today we're going through the steps to create a Jira Cloud app using .NET Core, and we'll be using the Atlassian.Connect extension package. This package is the work of several people, but previously the main contributors have been Kevin Gisberg and Travis Smith. All of the work is open source and available on Bitbucket, and the links are in the description. For this tutorial you will need the following installed: Visual Studio 2019, I'm using the free community edition, Ngrok to expose our application running locally to the internet via a temporary URL, and the AWS Toolkit for Visual Studio. All of the tools are free and linked in the description, so let's get on. Once you have all the software installed, the first step is to create a new project in Visual Studio. Because we have the AWS Toolkit installed, we have some extra templates available. We're going to select the AWS Serverless template. We're using .NET Core C#. Give the project a sensible name and click Create. Now we're going to get the option to select the blueprint we're going to use for our project. For this tutorial, select ASP.NET Core Web API and click Finish. The first thing I want to check is that we can publish the application without issue to AWS. The application will be deployed to AWS using a CloudFormation stack defined in the project. It will create the IAM role, Lambda function, a REST API gateway, and a prod and staging API endpoint. You can extend this further if you wish by adding custom Route 53 domains, etc., but for now I will leave the default. Once the CloudFormation stack is finished deploying, you'll be presented with the URL that AWS has set up for your project. And clicking this will take you to your application, now running in AWS, as a serverless Lambda. By default, there is a values controller configured that returns a couple of values, so we'll test this now by going to the /API/values URL. That looks like it's working fine. As you can see, if we open up the values controller in the project, this is where the output that we just saw is defined. The next step is to actually install the Atlassian.Connect.Extension Nuget package. This is where all the logic for handling JWT tokens and authentication, along with setting up clients for simplifying calls to the Jira API, etc., are all handled. Now we have the Connect extension framework installed, we need to update the startup class by adding the services for Atlassian Connect services, along with Atlassian Connect Client. We also need to add the configuration for the app. This is based on the Atlassian Connect options class and allows the creation of Atlassian.Connect.Json required for every app in a strongly typed manner. As you can see, we have some general defaults for title, description, installed and uninstalled paths, etc., and the add-on key. We've also added a page module which will be added to the top navigation bar called Values, and this will point to our values controller we saw earlier. The framework also expects an iTenant repository, which is used for storing the state of installations for people using your application. For this tutorial, I'll use the AWS Secret Manager tenant repository, which takes two arguments: the name of the AWS secret to store and the region to store it in. Other implementations are available to save to the local file system, or just to memory, which is useful for testing when you don't have access to anywhere else for a persistent store. We also need to configure the HTTP pipeline to map our endpoints for installation and Atlassian.Connect.Json, etc. We do this by adding the map Atlassian lifecycle endpoints. To make it easier for testing, and as we're offloading SSL to AWS in the final solution, we'll switch the app to running locally on HTTP by removing the SSL port in the properties/launch settings.json. I'll also set the port to 5000, as that's the default I normally use. With all that configured, I'll launch the application and check it's running on HTTP on port 5000, or whatever you selected earlier. Then I'll navigate to the Atlassian.Connect.Json and as you can see, we get the configuration file displayed that we configured previously with the Generals page module named values, along with the title and description, etc. Now at this stage, we could of course just publish the application to AWS again, like we did before. But this time I'll show you how to use Ngrok to allow you to debug locally while installing the application into your Jira instance. This is the command you want to use. If you set a different port in your properties-launch settings.json, then change port 5000 to whatever port you used. As you can see, Ngrok has created a tunnel for us to connect externally to our localhost app running on localhost port 5000. We'll now open the URL in Chrome and navigate to this /Atlassian.Connect.Extensions to give us the URL that we can give to Jira Cloud. Log into your Jira Cloud instance and click on Apps, Manage your apps. And the first thing you want to do is select Settings and enable Development Mode. This allows you to install our app direct from the install URL without having to publish the application to the marketplace. Now click on Upload App and paste in the application URL and click Upload. After the app is installed, you can now see we have a top navigation bar item called Values as expected. But if you try to navigate to this Values page, you will see it takes a few seconds, then it throws an error. However, if you have a look at the Ngrok log, we can see the values controller was called successfully and returned with a 200 response. This is not a useful error, but this is caused by Atlassian expecting their JavaScript and CSS in the response. In order to fix this error, we'll add the missing files that Atlassian is expecting in the response, and we'll do that by converting this application into an MVC application by adding in a models and view folder and updating the controller accordingly. The first thing we'll do is add a default layout template and add in there the items that Atlassian is expecting. We'll also set up a separate view for the values index page. This allows better decoupling of content and design, and we'll also check our startup class calls add MVC rather than add controllers. We'll use a view bag to pass across the dummy value to the controller, but if this was a larger setup, we'd probably switch to a strongly typed model. In this demo, I'll hard code a value, and in the next video I'll show you how to use the framework to get dynamic values via the Jira API. As you can see now, when we visit the values page, we now get the value that we put in our template. In this video, you learn how to create an application and how to run it via Ngrok to allow remote debugging of the installed app. In future episodes, I'll demonstrate updating values in Jira, externally updated dropdowns, webhooks, external integrations, and more. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and that's it for now.